every decision you make today is being controlled by something you rarely notice. It's not your intelligence, your education, your experience, or even the facts in front of you. It's the invisible mental framework you use to interpret reality. Two people can see the exact same event and walk away with completely different conclusions. One sees opportunity while the other sees disaster. One sees a lesson while the other sees proof of failure. And one changes their life while the other stays stuck. And the difference isn't the world around them. The difference is how they think. And once you understand this, you may never look at your own thoughts the same way again. And most people spend their life trying to change their circumstances. They chase better jobs, more money, better relationships, better location, and better opportunities. Yet many discover that even when their circumstances improve, they still remain unhappy, anxious, frustrated, or trapped. And that's because changing your environment without changing your thinking is like upgrading the hardware while keeping the same faulty software. And the patterns running in your mind determine how you experience everything. And if your thinking is limited, your results will eventually become limited too. And one of the biggest shifts you can make is realizing that your brain is not a truth machine, it's a prediction machine. It constantly fills in the gaps, creates the stories, and makes assumptions. And most of the time, you're not reacting to reality itself. You're reacting to your interruptions in life or your reality or your interpretation of the reality. Think about how often you assume someone dislikes you because they seem distant, only to discover they were distracted by something completely unrelated. Think about how often you expect failure before even trying. Think about how many opportunities are ignored because of the assumption that were never tested. The moment you realize your thoughts are not always facts, you gain a level of freedom most people never experience. Another powerful shift is understanding that problems are often created by the way they are framed. Imagine two people lose their jobs. One says, "My wife is ruined," and the other says, "This is going to be difficult, but it may force me to find something better." The situation is identical, the interpretation is completely different. And the first mindset closes the door before they can even be seen. The second mindset keeps possibilities alive. This does not mean pretending everything is positive. It means recognizing that the meaning you attach to events shapes your future actions. Your perspective determines whether a challenge becomes a prison or a pathway. And here's another idea that changes everything. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. We live in a culture obsessed with immediate results. We want instant transformations, instant success, instant happiness, and instant mastery. And when those things fail to appear quickly, people quit. But nearly every extraordinary achievement is built through small actions, repeated consistently over long periods. A tiny improvement repeated every day eventually creates results that seem impossible to those who only focus on the short term outcomes. And success often looks sudden from the outside, but it usually is the result of years of invisible progress. Another mental shift is learning to separate your identity from your performance. Many people unconsciously believe that failing at something means they are a failure. Making a mistake means they are incompetent, or being rejected means they are unworthy. And this creates fear because every action becomes a test of personal value. But high performers think differently. They understand that results provide information, not identity. And failure is data, mistakes are feedback, and rejection is direction. And when you stop treating every setback as a judgment of your worth, you become far more willing to take that risk. You learn, you adapt, and you grow. And consider how much of your life is influenced by questions. The quality of your answers is limited by the quality of your questions. If you constantly ask, "Why does this always happen to me?" your brain will search for the evidence that supports victimhood. If you ask, "What can I learn from this?" your brain searches for the lessons. And if you ask, "What opportunities exist here?" your mind begins looking for that possibilities. And the questions you repeat become instructions for your attention. And attention ultimately shapes your experience. Another transformative realization is that certainty is often the enemy of the growth. People cling to opinions because changing their mind feels uncomfortable, yet every major breakthrough in human history required someone to question what seemed obvious. And growth begins where certainty ends, and the smartest people are not those who always have the answers. They are often the people most willingly to admit when they do not know something. And curiosity creates that learning. Defensiveness creates that stagnation. And one keeps expanding your world while the other keeps shrinking it. So let's talk about something even more important. Most suffering comes from resistance to reality. People spend enormous amounts of energy wishing things were different. They fight against the what already exists. They replay the past. They argue with circumstances they cannot change. They become trapped in frustration because they focus on what should have happened instead of what actually happened. Acceptance is not surrendered. Acceptance is acknowledging reality so you can respond effectively. You cannot solve a problem while pretending it does not exist. You cannot move forward while constantly looking backwards. And the fastest path to change often begins with fully accepting the present moment. Another thinking after shift involves understanding the difference between being interested and being committed. Interested people act when conditions are convenient. Committed people act regardless of the conditions. Interested people look for reasons, and committed people look for solutions. Interested people stop when obstacles appear, and committed people adapt and continue. This distinction explains why so many goals remain unfinished, and desire alone is never enough. Commitment creates consistency, and consistency creates that result. And here's a perspective that many people find uncomfortable too. The future version of you is being created by the choices you repeat, not the goal you set. Goals are important because they provide that direction, okay? But habits determine the destination, and what you do repeatedly matters far more than what you intend occasionally. And every action is a vote for the type of person you are becoming. And every day you are reinforcing an identity, whether you realize it or not. And small decisions seem insignificant at the moment, but they accumulate into a life. And perhaps the most powerful shift of all is recognizing how little control you actually have in external events and how much control you have over your responses. You cannot control the weather, the economy, other people, unexpected setbacks, or random events, but you can control your attitude, your effort, your preparation, your learning, and your persistence. Focusing on what you can control immediately reduces the unnecessary stress because it directs energy towards action instead of worry. Worry often creates the illusion of productivity while accomplishing nothing. Action creates the progress. In the end, changing your thinking does not mean becoming unrealistically positive or ignoring difficulties. It means seeing reality more clearly. It means questioning the assumptions, reframing the challenges, and learning from your failures. Choosing better questions, embracing the uncertainty, accepting the reality, building consistent habits, and focusing on what you can control. The world around you may not change overnight. Your circumstances may remain the same tomorrow morning. But if your thinking changes, everything begins to look different. And when you see things differently, you make different decisions. And different decisions, they create that different action. And different actions, they create different results. This is why a single shift in perspective can alter the course of an entire life. And the greatest transformation is not changing where you are, it is changing how you see where you are. And once that happens, possibilities appear where limitations once existed, and solutions emerge where problems once dominated, and the future becomes something you can actively shape rather than something you simply wait to experience. Thanks for watching today. If you found value in today's video, I would appreciate a subscription. We're looking to build this YouTube page, and without that subscription, we can't do it. So if you would do that for me, I'd appreciate it. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.